When I was a young teenager, God talked to me about surrendering my life to be a minister. And I really struggled with that because I didn't think God was making the right choice, because I thought there's no way I could do that. Well, in my mid-teens, I finally went forward and I surrendered my life. And I told God if He wanted me to be a pastor, I would be a pastor. It's funny because in that service, most people, I think, thought when I went forward that I was going forward to get saved. No one really expected me to go forward and surrendered my life. As I got a little bit older, I kind of ran from that calling. I really got scared from what was going on, and I found myself in a place I shouldn't be, doing things I shouldn't do. And I remember one very early Sunday morning just thinking, here I am in this place so far from God, and this is what it's led me to. And I thought of this phrase, Jesus would never do this to me. I got up from that place, I said goodbye to a friend, never saw that person again. I went to church that Sunday, got my life right with God, and eventually became Pastor Steve. I often think about Thomas. I think about Thomas, who missed that first time Jesus after the resurrection came and met with the 12, and he wasn't there. And when they came back with the group, they all said Jesus was here, and Thomas said, I don't believe. And then the next time Jesus showed up and said, you want to see the hole in my side? You want to see the hole in my hands, Thomas? And Thomas fell down and said, my God, my Lord, my Lord. And I've often felt like Thomas that time, getting down on my knees and just apologizing to God and apologizing to Jesus. But you know, the lesson that I've really developed over the last few years about that is, I wasn't alone. I wasn't alone. There were people who encouraged me. There were people who tried to get me to do the right thing. There were people who told me I could do it. I had one particular friend who was really faithful to me and that always told me I could do it, and actually cried about me because I was so far from God at one point. You know, Thomas came back to that group and nobody threw him out. Thomas came back to a group that he had basically told them all they were crazy and denied what they had experienced. And instead of judging him, and instead of saying, you can't come until you agree with us, they just let Thomas come in there and they loved on him. That same friend was there that first time I walked an aisle and surrendered my life to Jesus. That same friend was one of the few people that met me there and gave me a hug. Thank God for the Thomases, the prodigals who come home. But behind every prodigal, behind every Thomas, there's always somebody encouraging them. Church needs to be a place where teenagers can screw up and make mistakes. It needs to be a place when someone says, I think I want to serve Jesus deeper, we don't judge that person. We don't think they can't do it. We encourage them to follow the will of God in their life. Who knows who's in your church today? Who knows what young person is struggling right now with the call of God and what God would have them to do? But thank God for the people around Thomas. I thank God for the friends I had in a church that would give a kid a second chance. Jesus would never do that to you.